that's all right, boys. Wait a minute. I'm with you. I haven't retired yet. Oh, no. I'm going to go right on to the end of the road. Every road through life is a long, long road filled with joys and sorrows too. As we journey on, how your heart may yearn for the things most dear to you. With wealth and love.
If you don't know me, I'm Steve McCarthy. I'm chairman of the Blues Trust.
There,
to my left.
Yeah, my name's Paul Smith, and I am one of the people that runs the Blues Collective, and done other things with the Blues fans in the last few years. Been a bit of a bone of contention with some people, but there we go. We all love the club, don't we?
Yeah. So the idea of this session, I'm going to run through a short passage that we've prepared that just puts it into context. The reason why you've all taken time to come and attend this session. So Saturday was truly a abysmal experience for everybody, I'm sure. The way in which the team capitulated was indefensible, but we all know there are some severe mitigating circumstances to this. The club is slowly being strangled. We know this. There's a lack of investment, a lack of leadership at a high level. And the BIHL slowly ripping the heart out of their club. And we just can't stand back and continue to let this happen. The club have been positive today. We've seen what's come out of today. And, you know, it is a positive step, but they have moved very, very quickly. Since the departure of Lee Clark and his team last week, they've moved quickly to appoint a successor. However, what we don't want is a situation that Lee Clark has already experienced here. We don't want Gary Ray and his team to have to manage this club and this team going forward with one arm tied behind his back. And that will only happen for lack of investment and lack of leadership at a board level. Yeah. So tonight is about not any individuals, it's not about an organisation, it's just about fans wanting to bring about positive change to our club. Okay, it's not a protest meeting, and we have to be absolutely clear about this. But if one of the outputs of tonight is protest, then so be it. What we want to be is a vehicle and facilitator for what people's ideas are to bring about change where change is needed. We're not aimed at BCFC, the club. We always recognise the staff at operational level are doing a fantastic job under really, really difficult circumstances. This is about BIHL, our owners. For 3 years now, they've procrastinated over the sale process. They told us we are for sale, they told us we're not for sale. They told us they're seeking new investment, they told us the investment has fell through. There's no transparency, there's no governance. We don't even know today who runs BIHL. Nobody knows, okay? So that's one of the reasons why we've called this session together. We have to absolutely get behind that as an organisation and find out what's going on. They're faceless, they don't come out, they don't communicate with the supporters. Yes, recently it has been positive that Panos has been around, Panos Pavlakis, and as you know, Panos is now installed at the club as the head of BCFC. But still there is a lack of communication. They seem more interested in their share price on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange and maintaining their listing than they do as BCFC as an entity. To that end, we believe there's a number of key areas that we need to concentrate some effort. But overall, we want to listen to the ideas, and we will open the floor up so people can have their say. But before we do that, just bear in mind a few areas and a few things. Others have shown, other supporter organisations with other clubs, that you can protest without hurting the players and without hurting the performance on the pitch. Okay, we need to bear that in mind. If you do decide that protest is the way forward, there can be negative connotations with that, and it's unlikely with the news that's come out today, with the new management team and structure, that the masses will support you anyway. Okay, but there are positive things that other supporter clubs have done when we look around the country. We have to target BIHL. The organisation seems in disarray. They don't seem to know what is happening. They've recently been trying to force through an EGM. That EGM was to secure some new funding for a bond conversion. That has now been suspended twice because they can't get the correct paperwork in order. Yeah, and the actual bond conversion is based on a Hong Kong share price of 10 cents, and that's slipped now, so that is no longer relevant either. So, BIHL seems an organisation whose infrastructure is very, very fickle and really doesn't have any cohesion. We also have to look at the Football League. The football in this country is littered with basket cases, and we're just one of many. Yeah, I could reel them off now. The Football League seem reluctant to get involved and get their hands dirty with any of them, but that's not to say that we can't try. We have to target the Football League, we have to make them sit up and take notice, yeah, and we have to maybe get them on our side to push through positive change. We also have to be careful if we're looking at spending resource in raising our plight within Hong Kong. I'm not saying that's not the right thing to do either. If anyone's following the news would understand that Hong Kong at the moment is under some severe pressure from student protests for Occupy Central. So all the media attention is being taken up with that. However, there are other areas within Hong Kong that we can maybe look at. One of those being the stock exchange itself. Yeah. Do the stock exchange really understand what's going on with BIHL? We already know that they've had a number of sanctions in the past against them. Has that gone deep enough? So again, these are areas that we can look at. So they're just a few tasters. We've also circulated a document that shows some of these suggestions that we've had since Saturday, since the debacle that was Saturday. We're free to take points, take questions. People just, it's an open floor.
Yeah, just make yourself known, I'll bring the mic over to you.
I mean, just on the Football League, have they actually given any justification as to how Carson Young has been allowed to hold on to these, have such a say in the club? Because, you talk about, there's lots of basket cases and we're just one of them, but I can't think of one that actually has a person with such influence who's still in the prison cell.
Yeah, I sat in front of the Football League 2 months ago and I asked them that same question. So what you're referring to is this shadow director. So as we know, Carson Young is no longer a director at either BIHL or BCFC. However, his son Ryan is still a director at the club. So we've asked that question. Now the Football League have said there is no evidence to suggest that he's exercising control. When asked, there is no evidence to suggest he isn't either. So it's a bit of a two-way coin, yeah? So that's why more needs to be done in order to push the Football League to actually take some action. And if they want to produce something that reassures us that it's not happening, then they should do that.
This is on. Now, in answer to your question, the Football League issued their statement on Birmingham City back in March when Carson was in prison within 1 hour. Okay, so that 1 hour tells you exactly how much had gone in behind the scenes. Yeah. Okay, so in 1 whole hour, they were convinced that there was no shadow director of Birmingham City. 1 whole hour.
I think also, before we go over there, with the Football League, they have a duty to us as stakeholders of football to be straight and honest with us. But it seems to me that they're just brushing under the carpet because it's too easy for them to do. So, if anything, my suggestion would be it's the Football League that needs to be pressured and targeted on this, because at the end of the day, they are the governance of football in this country. Now, if you speak to the FA will say it's the Football League. So, if anything, in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, is any action or any campaign first has to start with the English Football League. They need to be brought to task. Not just for Birmingham City Football Club, but for Coventry City, Sheffield United, Leeds United, Wimbledon, you can go on. So, how long are we going to allow the Football League to take the league fees, take all the funding and not back its stakeholders? Because at the end of the day, every single person in this room contributes to the Football League, whether you believe it or you do. So as members of that Football League, we have a right for them to give us some straight answers and do a bit of digging for us, an investigation. So that is my opinion, any action should be aimed at the Football League.
Having attended the book launch of haircuts to league cuts last week, Daniels and Wills. Will, who's the solicitor who lives in Hong Kong, he was telling us, and I left there feeling even more despondent than even before Saturday, that whenever, if Carson wins his appeal, or when he walks out of jail, he will walk into so many shares that he becomes the major shareholder again.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a train of thought that Carson is absolutely holding on for his appeal to go to court, for his appeal to be accepted, for him to be set free. His conviction is quashed, so he then can come straight back in and be the chairman of Birmingham City, because he then passes the fit and proper persons test because he doesn't have a conviction. So there is a train of thought, but that is absolutely what Carson is holding out for, hence why the sale is not going ahead. If you think about BIHL as an organisation, we are their only asset. Where is their money coming from? They are losing £1 million per month. Yeah? Now, we don't generate £1 million per month as a business, if you think about the club as a business. So where do they get it from?
You must have a good idea where that's coming from.
What we need to do is find out, and what we need to do is raise it. That's what we need to do. We need to raise it to the right levels. That's why asking the questions within the stock exchange will make them take notice of where this money is coming from.
Because Will was the solicitor who lives out there. He was quite convinced that where it was coming from.
Yeah, but proof is the other thing. Because at the moment it's all electric. Yeah, but proof is the other thing. If we can prove that money is coming from sources that it shouldn't be, that gives us a massive step forward with BIHL. Because the end game has to be for them to sell us as a club to a more sustainable owner that has the best interest of the club at heart. That has to be the goal. Absolutely has to be the goal. Yeah. There's no other way that this club is going to have a successful future. So one of the suggestions is looking, and we've suggested this with Will, is how do we get some traction within Hong Kong to start investigating that, and that's one of the areas that we will be focusing on, is getting some kind of investigation into the financial affairs of BIHL. No organisation can lose £12 million a year and continue to operate the way that it does.
I went to Hong Kong in July with a view of giving Mr. Carson a little visit, but I was sorely disillusioned when I bought the Financial Times written in English to find that it's rife over there. Money laundering, all the cases that was in the paper. I came home and I thought, what chance have we got when it's every piece of the paper was a company done this and now it's being held to account. As I say, I was really disillusioned, and I'm listening to you there and thinking, would we get anywhere by going through that?
Possibly not, but you have to try. We have to try, because if we don't try, then we might as well sit here and say that it's not going to happen anyway. No. There is a change in the regulations within the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. They have tightened up a lot of what was going on within there. Hence why the sale that originally that BIH wanted, which was about 24%, that's why that's become so difficult now, is because there are a lot of regulations attached to that for their further 75% disposal. That's why it's changed quite a bit.
It was really disillusioning. I thought, oh blimey, everyone's at it here. The whole paper.
Yeah, and the alarm bells ring for us, BIHL, be a Hong Kong company registered in the Cayman Islands. That rings alarm bells straight away.
And don't you see then that's the emphasis on why we need to target the Football League? Because as an official body, if we concentrate our efforts on them, they can ask the questions of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. They are going to be listened to far more than what we will be as supporters. So we need, again, it's only my opinion, and everybody's opinion counts, is we need, I believe, to be targeting the Football League for them to make a representation on behalf of our football club.
But weren't they arguing behind the stock exchange and the things going on behind the scenes? They'll just fob it off,
maybe, but if we give up now, if we have a defeat, it's actually,
nothing. Not defeat, it's just practical.
We just,
They
yeah,
got
but
the legal side and they'll say there's
unless we try, we don't
something
know.
different, unless you've got an idea there, you're sneaking.
But that's what we're all here for. You know what I mean?
Have you got any ideas yourself then? Come on.
My only, as I said, my opinion is we go to the Football League. I can't see any other way of getting any answers other than targeting the Football League, because at the end of the day, they are the governance of football in this country, other than the FA. And the FA clearly state that because we're a Football League member, we have to go through them.
I was just going to back up that point actually about the Football League. And Steve also brought up the issue of the fit and proper persons test. So that's the only way we're going to get through here. I think, okay, you know, Hong Kong is a massive issue, and there's problems there. But like Paul said, we're not going to know unless we try. I think we need to concentrate on perhaps targeting people over there, but also targeting people back home with regard to the fit and proper persons test. If we join up with other football clubs, there are other clubs out there that are having exactly the same sort of issues with the fit and proper persons test that we are, and that is an area that we really need to target.
And just going on the fit and proper persons test, it was the Premier League that carried out the fit and proper persons test on Carson Young, not the Football League. So that is another issue in itself, is the fact that they're just passing the buck between one another, because the Premier League are saying, well, you're not a member of ours anymore, so basically, tough. So until we make a stand, and we are Football League members, so that is the only route I can see with us, without us all spending our savings going over to Hong Kong and joining the students. You know, there's no other way that, you know, in all seriousness, I think the Football League is the way to go. Holding banners and placards up in St Andrews, there's nothing, you're going to be doing it to empty seats. We need somebody to represent us, an official body, and the Football League, I do genuinely believe that is our only option. Other people are going to have different opinions, that's mine.
They should be doing that anyway, shouldn't they?
Exactly, they should be.
Because
but
the first thing I should want to know is where's this 12 million a year coming from?
Exactly.
It's dirty money.
So unless you challenge them, they're going to just sit back idly, just doing their normal £200,000 a year jobs, not a care in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I just repeat what I said earlier? It took 1 whole hour to tell everybody in the whole country that there's nothing going on here, yeah? Okay? You must have made a phone call and said, "Hi, Birmingham City, everything alright? Yeah, fine, off you go."
But can I just back up what Dave's saying there?
Sorry, mate. Listen, our club is dying, we're watching it, and we've done nothing. Collectively, we've done nothing, our club is dying. That's how I feel. That's why I'm here tonight, that's it.
Can I just say what Dave said? If it took an hour, and that was last March, apart from what Steve just said, who has challenged the fact that it only took an hour? Because we accept it, and that's what we always do.
No, I challenged it
No,
live.
Dave,
I challenged it live on Sky, and they cut it and edited it.
Well, okay, you're one person, that's 2 people. There's 250,000 Blues supporters registered on the club database. 250,000. That's honestly, that's a fact. So, I'm telling you now, if 20,000 fans went to the Football League and demanded answers, they've got to listen. Well, with all due respect to Dave, and Dave will challenge anybody, and so will Steve, 2 people is not going to make a difference, because they'll just push it aside. You need a united front. We're very, very good at bickering and taking the mickey out of one another, because we're Brummies, that's what we do. We have a sense of humour, and it's all about having the crack. But this is important. We need to stand together, you know, all Blues fans, and it's, as I say, it's pointless protesting in the ground, boycotting the ground. All you're doing is putting jobs under threat in that ground. There's people in that club who have worked tirelessly for 3 years to make sure we've still got a club to support now. So why jeopardise their jobs? The people to blame here are BIHL who live and work 12,000 miles away, and the only way to get at them is via the Football League. So if anything, it needs a united front to head up to Preston, where the Football League is, and make representation to them.
In a few months' time, there'll be a general election. What about going down the avenue of the local MPs and getting an MP on our side and pushing, pressurising in Parliament against the Football League. Don't you think that avenue might work out?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. If you look at the what was released, I think it was 2 weeks ago as part of the Labour manifesto, Labour have put together a thing where for football clubs you have to have one elected supporter on the board and have full transparency in that. So that's the wider football picture. To answer your point in particular, there are now a lot of MPs who are in a position where they need things to be able to get votes, like you say, general election coming up. So we've already had tentative conversations with people like Roger Goodsif, and had these saying that if you adopt some of these policies, it might get you some votes in terms of the football community, but also our plight needs to be taken on board. So there's also a number of people within Birmingham City Council that are Blues fans, and we're also looking to try and contact them as well. We have to get as many people on board with this as possible. One of the things that you get asked is, well, what's the potential output of this? You get the Football League involved, they ask difficult questions, you get MPs involved, they look at difficult questions. So ultimately any sale or any kind of sanctions that are put on by the Football League could have consequences for the club. It could be a points deduction, it could be transfer embargoes, things like that. And we have to be prepared that, in the short term we might feel some pain over that, but long term we will get the gains from it. But we have to start raising it in many quarters and start to get people to take notice.
I think the two strategies that you've outlined there, the double-edged strategy, Football League and the stock market in Hong Kong is exactly the right way to go. I don't think protests will achieve anything. The one thing I would say, a couple of things really. First of all, have we explored what the obligations of the Football League are to us as a club as far as this situation is concerned? Is there any merit in trying to get some kind of legal advice from a solicitor? I can't believe that there isn't somewhere within the Birmingham City fan base some lawyer who's prepared to give us some of his time to actually give us some support on what we need to know to see what is the Football League obligation to us, what is the best approach we can take to actually get them to take action on our behalf. And I think, unfortunately, there's going to be a cost involved. And I think, I don't know who this legal guy is that helps Daniel Ivory, but it's the same situation in Hong Kong. All the people here, I would suggest, are probably not experts. And with respect to you guys, you're not experts either. And therefore, what we're actually saying is we all know what we think we need to do. We all know where the two responsibilities lie. The problem we've got and what we need to decide on, and it's difficult in a meeting like this, is what is our strategy moving forward to attack these two organisations. When I say attack, I don't mean throw stones at them, I mean actually sort of try and put action on them.
So to answer the first point, I think the understanding the Football League obligations, I think, is a great way forward. And we are going to take some legal advice on that. Now, we do have an umbrella organisation in the trust movement called Supporters Direct. Supporters Direct have a wealth of resource in that area. They've also got the contacts within the Football League, so we've got the right people to talk to. But I also think there's merit, if you think about what Paul said, if we want to raise our plight nationally and get the Football League to actually answer us and take some time to do the due diligence checks, I don't think that we shouldn't ignore the fact that actually turning up at Football League headquarters with a few banners and a few people standing there and making a bit of a nuisance of ourselves, I think that actually would be quite positive from our perspective and just gets the wider national press to take a little bit of notice of where we are.
We get people like Clem on the Football League show on Saturday night. I mean, is there any contact we have with the national television organisations to actually let them know in advance of what we're doing so that we can get... Because the whole thing about doing this is, it's fine doing it, I think it's a great idea, but what we need is some kind of clear plan as to how we're going to publicise it. Because at the end of the day, there's no point in doing it there's no point in doing it if we don't actually get not only local press coverage, but we need to get national press coverage as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and I think we've got the local press coverage. So when we sent out notice of this as a meeting, we had certainly BBC took a lot of notice. Central not so much, but yeah, the BBC were very interested. So WM, Capital Radio have been very interested. So I think locally we have got the support of the press. I think that there is still a lot more they could do. There's a lot more investigative work they could do. They've got resource that we could tap into, and it doesn't seem to be forthcoming. But nationally, we don't have that. We're not on the map. If you think about some of the other issues in football, we're not there. And it took, and use Sky Blues Trust as an example. What Coventry went through was an abomination, really, for every football fan to have to do that. And it took them a long time to get the national press involved and to be, to actually force through change. But they were successful because they never give up. So you're absolutely right. But again, getting a coach and landing on Football League headquarters and letting the press know about that before you actually do it, I think would be a fantastic idea.
Just on the chat before this fella here, it was on about maybe getting some local politicians involved. The thing is, I actually think it's a really good idea, but I'm involved with a local political party. I won't say who, but I'm a volunteer. But I've talked to councillors about this because I actually thought it was a really good idea. That local politicians are very reluctant to get involved simply because A, they don't think there's enough votes in it, and B, they don't want to actually lose the votes of that lot down the road. That is a genuine reason. Because I've said to them, you must see what's going on, or you must hear about what's going on. And they said, yeah, but they don't think, the long and short of it is, they don't think it's a big enough vote winner.
And don't you think that is very, very short-sighted of our local political system?
Well, it's not just the situation in this football club, it's also, I'm involved in the Justice 21 campaign, and you look at the amount of councillors that don't raise any concerns about the cover-up of the fact that 21 people massacred in this city, and if they don't care about people dying in this city, they're not going to care about this football club in all due respect.
I think you're absolutely right. I think to corroborate that, if we look at when we went to get the asset of community value on the stadium, the first application that we put in was actually rejected, and we were asked to provide further information. And when we actually talked to people within the council, there was a reluctance to help. Yeah, and I think you're talking about what's in it for me. Yeah, if there's not the votes there, then is it something they're really going to get involved in? But there must be some Blues fans out there that are also MPs, and we know there are, that would be willing to support this type of thing.
Going back to the gentleman that was next to me earlier about getting a lawyer involved. As we know, social media has been rife for the last few days, and I had one addressed to me that brought up a very good point. He's from a guy in Australia, and I checked him out, and he is genuinely a businessman. He reckons, he spoke to his lawyers, and he reckons that there's a case of negligence against the Football League and gross incompetence. And if we took it up with them, we've got a lawyer to write letters and ask him for, I've lost it, a letter to explain how they come about their due diligence. The Football League would probably get a little bit frightened and start answering questions. And this guy, and I'll click it out later on, is willing to start a legal fund to go down this avenue of investigation.
Again, can't argue with that, because as I've said from the outset, the people that you need and the people we need to make representation for us to the Hong Kong Stock Exchange as stakeholders is the Football League. The Football League will hide behind the fact that they did not do the fit and proper persons test on Carson Young, but they have an obligation to us as a football club and as a member of their society or their association to, basically support us. We are original members of the Football League Division 2, so we have a long-standing relationship with the Football League. So they have a right and an obligation, as far as I'm concerned, to be, seen, to be investigating and acting on our behalf.
Leeds.
Sheffield United, it can go on and on. But the thing is, everybody just accepts it. So why should we accept it? And that is the problem with the English society and football. If you accept it, it'll just carry on.
But we're that different. My point is that we're that different.
Yeah, we're Birmingham City, of course we're different.
No, of course, that way. But in precedent in terms of who's taking over their clubs, they feel they're different the same as us.
Let me put No, you're right. So maybe a suggestion is that those other clubs that are equally finding difficulty in convincing the Football League to do more, maybe we join forces with those, and maybe we all land on Football League headquarters. So your Leeds, your Herefords, yeah, maybe we get all those guys together, all their trusts, and we all land on Football League headquarters, and we all ask the question.
But you always need one to keep that domino off.
Of course you do, of course you do.
Don't you? And everybody is too quick at saying, being a NIMBY, not in my backyard, because they're frightened to make that push. And we're great as a society for saying, oh well, hey ho, well, no more.
I suggest they've got legal people. We're a hostage. That's what we are. Yeah. Truth.
And if we look at the cons instead of the pros, we'll never do anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you'll be scared to go out your front door. So it's either we stand up. No, I'm not saying. Well, I'm just trying to make a point. I'm not saying you are, but what I'm saying is we're very good at looking at the negatives all the time. Oh, if they'll have legal representation, they'll do this. So what? This is a democracy. We pay money into that club every week. We are the biggest investors in Birmingham City Football Club. Forget your Golds, your Sullivans, your Carson Youngs. No one invests more money into that club than you people out there. That is a fact as well. Because everyone in here has got a stake in that club. So if it was a PLC and you was a shareholder, you would be asking serious questions. We are shareholders of that club. Now the people who run it are great people. The management in that club, they've kept it going on a cash basis. No overdraft facility or anything. It's winning awards every season. They are a credit to us. And they're Birmingham City supporters just like you. So my point is, no point protesting to them people there because they feel the same pain as you, but they can't do nothing about it because they're employed by that club. And they have to pay their mortgages and the rent and all, just like you guys. The people who are to blame and the people who should be targeted here are the Football League. And they're happy sitting in their ivory tower in Preston, just going, oh well, just another football club, we'll take the 2,000, 5,000, 20,000, 50,000 pound a year membership off them. It doesn't matter, the fans will just carry on. Well, not no more. If we want to do something and we want to do something positive, let's target the Football League. Concentrate on supporting our team and showing them that we love our team, which we all do. It hurt everybody on Saturday, what happened, but we've brushed ourselves down and we're here and we're going to carry on fighting. But the people we need to fight against is not BCFC, it's the Football League. That's my opinion.
Yeah, you stole my thunder a little bit there last time.
Sorry.
Back the joining together of fans, whether it's possible to join the supporter groups together and all land on Preston as one. Birmingham, Portsmouth,
yeah,
Sheffield,
absolutely.
Coventry. We all need to unite as football fans around the country.
Absolutely, just made a note of it, got all the contact details, we're going to
If
start.
you look at any protest in life, in society, the only way it succeeds is through numbers.
Yeah, and if you really want to get the national press involved and you really want to raise it as an issue, then the more football fans from different football clubs that raise issues with them. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to highlight that actually within the Football League there is incompetence at a high level. Their infrastructure is not working and they're not protecting their member clubs. And actually, what we could find ourselves in is a situation where BIHL finally do sell the club and sell it to something just as bad. Yeah, and that's what we could find. Yeah, because there isn't the correct checks and balances in place that protect us from that. So you're absolutely right, and we made a note, and tomorrow we'll start working on that.
Did we know who the accountants were that did the supposedly financial due diligence when we sold the book to Carson?
Yeah, there's a question.
Pardon?
That's a question, that is. I have no idea.
I was an accountant. If I go to the bank and say we'd like £1,000, say £5,000, and I'll have it in my account that they'll ask me what I'm doing with. So who asked, or where, and you have to prove where your money comes when you're buying a new house.
Can I just, sorry, there's a certain individual in football called Keith Harris. Been involved in an awful lot of deals, some good, lots bad.
Yeah.
He's never been brought to account by anyone,
No.
ever. Make what you want of that. He was responsible, nobody cares where the money comes from.
No.
Can I just
He's never asked.
Can I just make a point? There is a lot of people, there is a lot of factors, but if we spread ourselves thinly and start thinking of let's go this, that's that, let's have one common goal, one channeled point of who we're going after, because it's quite easy to start going after Keith Harris, Orville, people like that. You need to have a set target of what you're going to do. I think I hope everybody agrees, there's no point in going after St Andrews and the people there, because then you're not going to get the answers. The people who need to be brought to account sit 12,000 miles away. There's nobody at that club. Hang on, Dave. Even Panos. It's no point going at Panos at this current time. The key is the Football League.
Why not, mate? Why not?
Paul, can I just say? Listen,
I'll come back to that in a second.
Listen, 18 months ago, I took the microphone and I said to everyone, no protest, no nothing, we've got a better idea. Yeah? Tonight isn't about my better idea, it's about everybody saying what they want to say, so just get it all out. Yeah? There ain't no magic answer. We've got some suggestions, but so is everybody. And I'm not ever going to. Saturday, I tried to send my dad home at half time. He's 72, so that he didn't have to witness any more of that crap. And he wouldn't go home. Neither would I, and that's obviously where I get it from. I don't even need that. I stayed to the bitter end.
Steve's going to answer you on.
I've got a lot of time for people who don't go. Yeah, fine. A lot of time for people who go and then bugger off back to the pub at half time. Fair enough. I can't do any of them things. I've got it that bad that I stay to the bloody end. And I've had enough. Just simple. We need to do something collectively.
Go on, Steve.
You're on about.
Sorry, Chris. Just before, so there was a guy that raised Panos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why go after him? Why give him an easy role?
Okay. So Panos is quite a strange one, to be fair. So BIHL have been quite a faceless organisation in this country. So Panna has almost been conspicuous by his absence. Yeah, particularly in the last sort of 18 months. Almost on a rundown.
Yeah, we all know his reasons.
Yeah. So Panos has come in, and he's coming to a bit of a storm, to be fair. So he's coming at a time where the club is dwindling to absolutely zero. All the playing assets have been sold, and he wants to have open dialogue with the supporters. Now he's only just started, so I don't think he's got any kind of influence within the BIHL board that we can use effectively at the moment. I think he's over here just to put a figurehead to BCFC as an organisation. Now, I'm not defending Panos because I don't know the guy. We don't have a relationship with Panos. We met him once. We met him with other supporter groups. It was an hour's meeting. There wasn't anything of real substance there. And really, the only thing he said he would do is that he knew about the supporters' concerns referenced the playing side, and that Lee Clark was struggling somewhat, and that he was monitoring it, and it wouldn't be allowed to continue, and hence it wasn't. So on that front, there's a bit of credibility there. But I don't think Panos knows anything more about BIHL than we do at times. And I think only if we do engage in dialogue with him, that time will tell whether that's a fruitful exercise or not.
What's his internal battles with Peter Panu then? Because Panos has been here for 12 months now, and I'd like to know his reasoning for non-communication with the fans. But apparently he's under the spell of Panu, who's still running the show over there.
Yeah, and again, I raised the question earlier. Nobody knows really what's going on in BIHL. Nobody knows who's running it as an organisation. There was a comment made earlier in terms of the shadow director that actually control of BIHL still sits with Carson Young. Yeah, that's the theory. Again, what we need is some kind of exposure within BIHL. It's one of the things that Daniel's worked on for a long time. He's trying to find out exactly what's going on as an organisation. But as Dave mentioned, we're being run as a non-football business. They're not running us because they want to improve our status within the football community in this country. They don't own us because they care about us as a club. They own us to make money. That's what they own us for their Hong Kong Stock Exchange listed. Yeah, that's what they own us for. Yeah, if they could get shot of us tomorrow for a decent price and continue that listing, they would. Yeah, they're not interested in us as a club.
That was stuck in a vicious circle.
Absolutely. Yeah, and until we do something different that we haven't tried before, then we will continue in this circle.
I still think you should be knocking his door down.
And we absolutely are. We've had one session with him so far, and they're going forward, we'll be pushing for a lot more communication, a lot more open dialogue, and trying to find out and asking difficult questions. What's going on?
He is very keen to speak to the fans as well. He has quite clearly said that. It's just...
So why not?
Because I think his remit's changed. I think up until now, he was brought in originally to help facilitate the sale. That was what he was originally brought in for. And I think his remit has changed, and I think it's been mushroomed and morphed into more of the figurehead of the club recently. Because that's only been a recent thing. It's only really been this season. Yeah.
We need to find out what his remit is.
Absolutely. What is he here for?
We need a statement of intentions, don't we? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, we do. And we have put that to him on several occasions.
So what we'll do... Yeah, so again, tomorrow that communication will be sent to the club for Panos to issue a statement of intent.
And find out what is Peter Panner still doing. Well, it's still very grey and murky concerning him.
He's still a director.
Yeah.
He's still listed as a director. It was only his service agreement that finished with the club.
Yeah.
He's still listed as a director.
He's not director of Birmingham, is he? The club. He's director of BIHL.
BIHL, yeah.
He's director of the club.
Yeah.
Birmingham, he's BIHL.
And again,
different boards though.
Yeah.
And again, the crux of it all is this lies, and the answer is with the Football League.
I think so. I think they should be on our behalf asking these questions. Intentions. Where's this money coming from? Is it dirty money?
We are members of the Football League. They have a right to investigate on our behalf.
I fully agree with you, but engaging them to do that is a different issue.
That's where we have to force the issue.
We need to get signatures then, put the question, and then everybody sign to say we want these individual people, rather than accountable. That we all get the questions written out, and then we all sign to say, like we do, take it to Parliament.
But to get something debated in Parliament, you have to have 100,000 signatures.
Which is why Side Grassroots is struggling so much.
67,000.
To take to the FA.
We can get 10 or 15,000 on a petition to the Football League, surely.
At the end of the day, this is how it should be. Football, if you look at Manchester as a city, what blossoms Manchester is their football clubs. Their city councils, I'm going to get all political now, their city councils back their football clubs to the hilt. Our city council couldn't give a rat's ass about the football club. But forget the Villa, they're not interested in Aston Villa either. No, I'm telling you straight, they're not. Football does not mean anything to Birmingham as a city. Now, football is an economy driver across the world because it is the world's sport. That is why Manchester is now seen and perceived around the world as the second city because of Manchester United Football Club. Nothing to do with Manchester as a city. They have no industry. They have nothing. Now, if the city council... So there's another target for us, the City Council. So the City Council have an obligation to us as citizens of Birmingham because we pay our rates, our council tax, everything into that city. We ensure that the city has got its coffers there. So they have a right to back us as well. So they should be making representation on our behalf. So the way the structure should be is us as supporters go to our city council then take our case to the Football League. That is the way you have your strength and that is where you have your credibility.
What we need is a sponsor.
Exactly.
We need a sponsor at the city council who will take that case forward.
But when we tried to get the ACV, it took me at a dinner conference for HS2 to speak to Albert Bohr and Ian Ward to make something happen. Because as far as I was concerned, it was dragging on and on and on, and it went past the 6 weeks that it was meant to happen. It was only a case of challenging them in front of high people up in HS2 and embarrassing them a little that we got something done about it. So, as a city, we don't self-promote enough, and we're very good at kicking ourselves. And that, going back to your point there, is, oh well, they've got a legal team to do this. So what? We're proud of what we've got. We're proud because we stand on there watching our team get beat 8-0, but we're Blues fans. So why should we stand back and take it any longer? No one in that club can do anything, but the Football League, and I didn't want to say it earlier, the City Council can. And that is where we need to be heading. And if we get 100,000 signatures, if you've got all the clubs in the country to sign up to it, and you've done an e-petition, and you've got 100,000 signatures, then you get your day in Parliament. So it has to, from little acorns, they say, don't they? And we have to be the club that stamps our foot down and goes for the jugular. Otherwise, it's pointless us all standing here tonight moaning about things that we're not prepared to do. So we either unite together, we stop our stupid infighting between ourselves and having a go at fellow supporters for trying something, and we work together and we go forward and we go to the Football League and show them that we mean business. It's as simple as that. If you don't want to do it, then let's just let the club die. And that's the answer.
So just going back to whoever raised the issue around the e-petition for the Football League, what would be the criteria for that? What would you be asking people to sign up to? What are you asking the Football League to do? So are we, because when we talk about marching on Football League headquarters, we talk about a unified football voice that looks about the fit and proper persons test, about the shadow control, all that type of stuff, and things that affect football in general and their member organisations. If we want an e-petition, we need to go down the same route and keep it so people will want to sign up for it that are non-BCFC people, and that way it will carry some weight. If we keep it to localised issues, then we won't get the backing that it needs.
But before we do that, don't we need to know what the responsibilities and obligations of the Football League are? Because until we know that, we don't know what questions to put to them. And therefore, before we do anything, we've got to find out what the obligations and responsibilities of the Football League are to clubs like ourselves and Portsmouth. Only then will we know what question we can ask and then get the fans to sign up to it. So I think the priority piece of work is to actually understand what the Football League obligations to us as a club are, and we need to do that as soon as we possibly can, and then we can go down the route of an e-petition, which I actually think is a very good idea.
But to have a strategy, you've got to start at the end. And then once you've got the clear strategy of where you want to be, then you track back and then you start again. So if we have a strategy as supporters that we are going after the Football League, that is our starting base, that is our end goal, that is where we're going to go.
I think you're right. I think the Football League is the place to start. I don't think the City Council, while I understand your point, I think the City Council got too many other eggs to fry. They're not really that interested in football. I think it's the supporters of the football clubs that really need to go down the route of challenging the Football League. And I think we as a club are in the ideal position to lead that with a number of other clubs if that's what we want to do. But you're right, target Football League first of all. That's the easier target than BIHL, much as we might like to get at BIHL and the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Let's go down the route of challenging the Football League, but before we do it, let's make sure we've got our ducks in a row and we know what we're challenging them about. Because if we ask the wrong question, they'll just fob us on.
Can I just play devil's advocate for a moment? We get the Football League on our side. Well, what are they actually going to be able to do to get rid of Carson Hill? Where are they going to take it? We can ask the questions. At the end of the day, the thing we want to get rid of, him and his cronies. I don't see there's an easy way was being able to get to that, even using the Football League. I might be wrong.
Well, they should want to know where the money's coming from.
Yeah. They can ask
Is it dirty money?
But
How do we get managing to lose 12 million a year and still survive?
Yeah, I agree.
What's their intention
does
to
that
do
achieve?
it?
We find out where the money's coming from. You know, how does that help us?
I think you can.
How do we get rid of it? That's my.
I think you can all see the frustration. You all crave answers, and that is the fundamental issue of the debate. Is nobody knows anything, and that is the frustration.
Just to come in, I think it's a really, really good and valid point, because when you do talk to the Football League, what they'll say is that BCFC as a club satisfy their criteria. They meet the criteria they need to meet to be able to operate as a Football League club. Yeah, whether that criteria is any good or not is another question. And I think that's one of the things that when you talk to other supporter organisations, particularly about fit and proper persons, that actually doesn't go deep enough. So what do we want them to do? Yeah, it's a good question. Football League turn around and say, okay, then we will help. What do you want us to do? Right, we want you to investigate BIHL. Through their findings, they might be able to uncover things that can go to the stock exchange that might be able to push some positive movement that way. So the stock exchange might put pressure on BIHL. BIHL might be under so much pressure that they might be willing to sell without all the strings attached at a much lower price than what they're trying to get currently, which enables some of these people that have been banded around in the media that have shown an interest in buying the club but have been put off by the price, by the strings. With all that removed, it might allow us to bring in more sustainable owners. Yeah, so that's where there might be a linkage. But until we get those regulatory bodies in place and fight in our corner also, then we're not going to get any traction whatsoever. So I think that's where the tenuous link would be. And I don't know if anybody else has got a thought on that, because that's really just where the thought process is.
We should ask them as well if they know who owns the individuals who own Birmingham City. Do they know? The Football League know?
They're probably not, because nobody does. Nobody knows who owns or who runs BIHL.
Shouldn't they should know? That's my point.
And that's what we need to take to them, absolutely. All those questions, but first of all, we have to get them to sit up and take notice and actually do some work on it. Now, there might be more strength in doing that as a collective initially, just to get them to start investigating some of their basket cases.
Can I just ask a question? I heard you say earlier that it's been waiting for a long time.
I heard you say earlier that it was the Premier League that actually sanctioned the takeover. And I've heard a lot of talk about, campaigning against the Football League, which is fair enough. But unless you're going to get a coach full of blokes going to the Football League and smash the place up, you're going to get one line in the back of the Evening Mail saying, protest outside the Football League headquarters. It was the Premier League that sanctioned this takeover. The Premier League goes to 100 countries around the world. If we can get our day at some time on the telly, Premier League supports Carson Young, stuff like that, we're not going to get no publicity. A coach full of blokes outside in Preston gets us nowhere. We've got to get it public, national. We've had our day in court, I've seen Dave on the telly and a few other lads, you've done well, fair play to you. But we must be going after the people who said Carson Young was big to take this club over. I'm sorry, and the only way we're going to get loads of publicity is to target these people, not the Football League. The Football League is just a bunch of skins in an office in Preston. These Chinese people ain't going to be bothered by them.
The problem you face is we're not members of the Premier League.
No, we're not members of the Premier League. But what I'm saying is
that is the fundamental issue, unfortunately.
I agree with what you're saying, but what I'm saying to you is, if we want to get publicity for what's going on, not just at our club, but loads of other clubs, Portsmouth, look at them. They jumped into this Premier League bandwagon. They got took out. The Premier League said, yeah, great, come in, bring your money. But when they're done, they're not bothered. The only way we're going to get publicity is to get on national telly. So whilst this client's taking over clubs all over the country, running them into the ground for what money?
Again, you're 100% right. Can't argue with you. But in any approach, in any tactical strategy that you have, you've got to have an end goal. And if we, as I said earlier, if you spread yourself too thinly, it won't work. So our representation is the Football League. That is who we are a member of. So first things first, we have to approach the Football League. You build the publicity by the proposal and the strategy that you put together. We have a lot of inroads now into local media We have David Conn, I see, writing regular about Birmingham City Football Club, who's national press. So there is an interest there. The fact of the matter is, this is the crux of it. If the supporters are not bothered in the perception, then why is the national press? When we done the placard display last year, it got a lot of coverage. When we done the flags around the ground against Derby, it had a lot of coverage, because all of a sudden the supporters cared about what was going on with their club. It died a death because nobody wanted to carry it on. That was your time to protest against BIHL, was then, and it got noticed in Hong Kong, and it was in the press in China. Now, the only way you're going to do it is have a proper strategy, and that strategy, unfortunately, and I totally agree, the FA Premier League are at fault here for passing that fit and proper test. But unfortunately, we are representatives of the Football League, so that is who we have to target. And to get your national coverage, it has to be a proper, thought-out proposal and strategy that we go forward with. Not a coach load of guys just going up there with banners. It's got to be a proper strategy. I totally agree with what you're saying, though. But unfortunately, we are members of the Football League now.
I think it's okay.
Again, you've got to have a start. You've got to have a starting point, haven't you? And there is, once you've won that battle, you go on to the next battle, and then you go on to the next. But you've got to have wins. The only way you win a war is by winning the battles, and there is a number of battles that we need to do. You know, I'm no Winston Churchill or anything like that, but you've got to have a proper strategy. And let's concentrate and clear the first one up. And I agree, the FA and the Premier League have got to be brought to account, because the Premier League railroad everybody, even the FA. The Premier League ruled the roost in football. But the most second viewed football in the world is the Football League. So, you know, let's concentrate on going to who represents us now, the Football League. If you don't agree, then that's fine. That's why we're here tonight, to come up with a strategy. But my opinion, for what it's worth, is we need to target the Football League.
Yeah, and I think, just on the back of that, I think all points are valid. I think
you will get there in a minute, mate. I promise.
Yeah. If you think of it as a, you know, we've got the questions around finding out what's the from the Football League, what is their remit, what's their obligations, you know, and once we get that, then it can be challenged. So once you've got that highlighted, it can be challenged then as to what we need to do. And I think, yeah. So I think that's the good starting point. And I think also what we'll work in tandem with that is we will be in contact with the other supporters groups, and we will put the balls in motion to start moving on that in terms of some collective action against the Football League. If nothing else, just to highlight the plights of these clubs in the national press. I know a lot's been done already, and I think that's the area we're going to go for the Football League.
What's the time scale in all of this, mate? We can be looking for some form of answers. Is it going to be a long, drawn-out process?
Well, we can certainly ask for some clarity on the obligations immediately, and we can stipulate in that we'd like an official reply. So we can even do that by open letter. Yeah, and again, that's fully transparent for everybody then. So hope you know, we want to be moving on this. You know, there's a number of other clubs that are the same. And we've got Supporters Direct that also are trying to expose the Football League, so we'll be taking advice from them as well.
They surely would know what the obligations of the Football League are.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll probably have a printed version, yeah, the publicised version.
Just before your man who's been waiting for about 15 years say something. He had a full head of black hair when he came out. Can I just point out something as well? As supporters, we've got an opportunity here. Glasgow Rangers got demoted to the Scottish Third Division, but their supporters turned out in their tens and tens of thousands. That has now aided, and it looks like they are going to be investing heavily in the next few years because the supporters have stuck with their club. Now, honestly, I know you're a big Rangers fan, Steve, so I know that. But their support has shown that it is a viable proposition. You know, it's a club worth buying. 42,000 every week Rangers get. Well, okay. I've got a Rangers fan here correcting me, so I stand corrected. But they still get over 20, 30,000 every week. So, you know, they've got good support, and that is the crux of it. A club is only as good as its fans, and we've got great fans. So, you know, it's time to show how good we are. Simple as that. Go on.
Go on then.
Just
another point. No, I'm joking.
I think there's some telepathy going on in there, because one of the points I was going to make was it's great to attack the Football League and get all the supporters involved, the other clubs that are in problems, but it's the FA we've got to attack. But the other point is the Football Supporters Federation, they ran an article last week. I went to a meeting up in London, and there's a lady there called Karen Dunn, who ran an article for women in football. But she's also, just this week, done an article on it's time for the fans to take the clubs back and take control of their football clubs. And I think if you could get in touch with her and find out more about what she's trying to get in touch with, there'd be another avenue. And she's a freelance writer, so she might be able to get some press coverage or something.
We've got to work with every mechanism we can to highlight the plight of the club. You know, the FS, the Football Supporters Federation, is a great tool, and it's a great support mechanism there for us. Same with Supporters Direct.
I wrote to the Football League some time back about Carson Young, and what we was talking about earlier, the shadow is still controlling the club from inside prison. What the Football League said to me, they wrote back and said that Birmingham City can honour their fixtures for this season, so they haven't got a problem, and unless we can come up with some sort of proof, physical proof, evidence that he's pulling the strings, they're not prepared to do anything. They can't do anything.
Because, you know why they're not prepared to do anything? Because there's not enough people shouting. And that's the simple crux of the matter. If you don't complain or go on, nothing's done, they just carry on regardless. So the Football League will carry on fobbing the individual letters off as long as, and then people will take that. But if there's 20,000 people go there, or write there, or petition, they've got to listen. And that's, unless we're together, nothing's going to change. And the only way together is to stand together, support your team on a Saturday, back Gary Rowett, because I think he's going to be a good manager for us. Listening to him today, you could sense the passion in him today that he was talking. The guy looks Birmingham City through and through. And we haven't had that for many years down there. So we back the team, and then we attack the Football League. Simple as that. There's no other way to do it. I can't see any other way of doing it, because all we're doing is wasting our effort and our energies on trying to shout and boycott something that we love. Yeah. So why should we turn our back on something that we love and they win?
And I don't think, I think from the general feeling in the room, I don't think that's really on the agenda now. What I think is the common theme is, yes, we need to do something with the fit and proper persons test with the Football League, whether that's a collective thing or individually. We certainly need to raise it at the right levels, we need to challenge it, we need a statement of intent from Panos, what's his remit, why is he here? We absolutely need to get him to be more of a face for our club and communicate with the fans a lot more. And I think there is also merit in some of the investigative work that needs to go on within BIHL, and that will continue, because we need to expose, because that's an organisation that, you know, smoke and mirrors immediately comes to mind. Nobody really knows what's going on. So certainly.
I can't
comment on that, to be fair.
Can't speculate on that.
Certainly not on a mic.
I would, don't bother me.
That one's a point.
That's Paul Smith, by the way.
I had some nice crispy wonton earlier, so I'm only joking.
To people talk about petitions and even going up to headquarters and like making noises. The thing is, if we could take 100, like 1,000 people, or like 1 million people up there, we could have as many signatures on a petition as we want. But as soon as we left, and the guy over there was right, as soon as we left, and as soon as we handed the petition in, my feeling would be they'd probably just put them in the bin. You know what I mean? Now, when we go to the Land of the Living Dead on Saturday, we're on telly, we're live on TV. I mean, it's too soon. I know it's too soon for Saturday, but we'll probably be on telly again this season at some point. But we're on telly every week in terms of the FL highlights, and also we're covered by national and local media to lesser or greater extents every single week. Imagine if we took some direct action and pulled off like a protest or a stunt that actually got so much coverage. And I know you don't want to protest in the ground in terms of because you don't want to, harm the jobs of people that are in there. But imagine if you actually took some protest against the Football League inside the ground during a game that actually embarrassed them that much that they had to sit up and take notice because it got so much press attention. I mean, I'm thinking of something like, when Coventry were live on...
Why? Coventry's why?
Yeah, Coventry's why.
Very
Arsenal.
simple,
Yeah, but something like that. I mean,
we did it last season. No.
But we did it precisely purely against the ownership.
Exactly, but it's tried and the club will not stop you protesting within the ground. You have a right to protest as long as it's done legally and
But what I'm saying is, Paul, we've never actually protested against the Football League inside the ground, especially not during a live game. If we did something like that actually embarrassed the Football League, it might actually force them to do something.
I absolutely agree, and I think the first point coming back is first of all find out what their obligations are. So that would be the first point of that, because then if we can prove they're not meeting any obligations, that's one issue. But if we can prove the obligations don't go far enough and there's not enough protection, that's another avenue to fight. And I think that's when you become vocal and visual that you're dissatisfied with the Football League as an entity of a governing body of our football clubs. Yeah? But I think the first part of the work is to go away and find out exactly what their responsibility is.
Once we've done that, I would say rather than...
I agree. I mean, people might have seen on social media this week, there's a BIHL Go Now, and somebody was trying to start a campaign with showing that at Wolves on Saturday because we're on Sky. I don't know where that come from. I don't know who set it up. But people have got ideas to do that, and it did work quite well for Coventry. When Coventry went and done their Why campaign, it got huge media coverage and highlighted their plight. But I think the first part is let's establish exactly what the criteria is first.
I fully agree with what you're saying about the Football League going up. That is definitely the way to do it. And we're on about fighting this battle, that battle against the FA, but to fight battles you need an army, and we've got 100 people in this room now. It's been all over the media today, Twitter, everyone knows about this. Why is no one here? And you've got to start in there, that's where it needs to start, get people vested in the movement, get them on board. Everyone pathetic in there, you've got to get them together, and then we can coach loads of people up to Preston or whatever it is. But, I don't know how we do that. You said we tried it last season.
That's what the protests that we were involved in last year done. It got everybody up. Since then, it's just died a death. Last year, when we done the protests, as me and you, Paul, and a fair few of us who've done it as well, it generated a lot better atmosphere. Everybody felt united again. It's pointless sitting in here today with, you said 100, I'll probably say probably less than that in all due respect. It's pointless. We need to get into either the ground, home and away, get everybody together, and that's when we'll start building up as a...
It needs to be not just one thing, not just
exactly.
It needs to be a continual process.
Yeah.
You continue to do it, you will get people coming on.
As long as it's civil and as long as it's peaceful, then people will join on board, and that's when you
hit the nail on the head there, Steve. It's got to be legal and it's got to be, non-violent. You've got to have, but again, with every campaign, you've got to have a starting point, and then you've got to build to that point. I totally agree. We have got the perfect opportunity, a theatre there to express, but it doesn't. That's all part of the process. And the club will not stop you protesting. They have no issue with you protesting because it is your right to protest.
What's the message that we want to send on the banner though? Because what we're actually looking for is it's no good saying BIHL out. It's no good saying down with the Football League. What we're actually looking to do here is create a mass movement. And therefore the message that we need to send to the other fans is come and join us. And surely that's what the banner should say.
The thing is, from what I've noticed, people actually seem embarrassed to actually protest, and I don't know why. People actually seem reluctant. They just seem They just seem embarrassed and just think it's a bit cringeworthy. But what's cringeworthy about trying to save your own football club?
And that's why it stopped last year. No?
Yeah, so probably. Yeah, but you know me. I was involved in it last year. I was taking banners, but no, very few people actually seem willing to help, and I don't know why. Because they can see what's going out on the pitch, and they know what's going on. Well, they have a rough idea what might be going on off the pitch, but people just seem so apathetic, or they just think it's like actually embarrassing to try and save the football club.
I think there's a fear as well, possibly the fact that a lot of people think that if they protest, they might get banning orders and so forth. And that's why I think it won't happen. No, fully agree. I couldn't care less. I'll happily protest, but I think that there is that fear there that is instilled in people, and I think it's just getting people out of that kind of mindset.
I think I'm just going to reiterate what I've said. There needs to be a common goal. We need to know who we're targeting and then build a campaign and tactic and a strategy around who we're targeting. I think everybody's agreed in here that it's the Football League. We've got many avenues we can go down to setting out a true message to the Football League. We do need to come up with a campaign slogan, of course, but it's a starting point. Yeah, there might be only less than 100 people here tonight, but every single one of you people in here now have an obligation to promote that to 5 friends. That becomes 500, 5,000, 10,000. The more it keeps going, the word, it's all about getting the message out there. It starts, as I said, little acorns, and it grows and grows and grows, but until you can get people to believe in something, it will never grow. And the more we look at the objectives and the cons of it, the less we'll do something. And that's where your apathy comes in, because people are frightened to make a stand. Because as you say, banning orders, it won't happen. So you've got to stand up and be counted, otherwise just sit there and do nothing.
That won't happen, but that's probably what people...
Yeah, I think there's definitely a place for it. If you look at what's going on within the Premier League at the moment, the biggest campaign from supporters is enough is enough, 20's plenty, so it's around ticket prices, and I think that it's actually, it's an initiative started by Spirit Shankly, so and supported by the FSF, and they are protesting using banners, using various methods now, and again, to take Paul's point, they started very, very small on that, and they've got momentum, they've got people behind it, they've got people to back it, and maybe we do the same thing. We start with something very small, but we need something tangible to go on. Just asking people just to stand and protest, whether it's against BIHL, whether it's against the Football League, we need tangible things that we can protest against, and then we need a method of doing it that's effective and doesn't damage the playing side of the club, because that's the last thing that we need.
I guess my view on this, from what I've heard tonight, is I think about this up on how I would approach an issue at work. And the first thing you've got to do is work out your own strengths and weaknesses. Our weakness is we haven't got the numbers to influence the decision makers and make it uncomfortable enough for them to break their own rules if they have to. So the idea of a protest can only be about generating further interest. That in itself is not going to solve the problem. But I tell you what, as a Blues fan, I feel like I need to do something. But I'm not doing that on the basis of that's going to solve the problem. The strategy has to be attack the Football League, but attack them in a way that a corporate governance body will feel uncomfortable. Yeah. There's no rule that can't be broken if you make the right decision makers uncomfortable. But our fan base needs something to rally behind. Now if that is a trip up to Preston, let's do that. But let's not do that thinking that's going to solve the problem. That's not in its own right going to solve the problem. But it might be the spark that sparks other clubs into it. It might be the spark that sparks another 5,000 years to do it. But that can only be one part of the strategy. That's just the communication part of the strategy. The real part of the strategy is around the legal challenge, the governance, the money, the finance. But those things aren't sexy. So the strategy has got to be set those things out, but also give the fans something to rally behind.
I completely agree with that that gentleman said, actually what we need is we need something to work at a local level, a national level and an international level. So what we need at a local level is to get ourselves noticed, to get the backing of the local media and all of that. At the national level, we need to lobby the Football League in whatever way that looks. And then in Hong Kong, we need to get the researchers looking at ways that we can, exploit or find a loophole in the law or whatever. So it's not just a case of we need one thing, we need three things to be working hand in hand. And I completely agree with what Paul said tonight, is that actually we need that through unity. We need to all join together, put together our differences as, whatever supporters group that we belong to and all of that, and actually join together and get behind those three strategies and commit to them.
Can I just ask, because we keep talking about the Football League, but there's no such thing as the Football League, that's an organisation. Do we know who the people are in the Football League to go after?
I would say currently no, unless Dave, Dave probably has a better angle on this.
Because it's people you're going to influence, not you won't influence an organisation, you influence people.
Go on then, Dave, do you want to answer this?
Football League's got many arms to it, but sadly they're all controlled by money in the Premier League. The Football League is subservient. Its offices in London, they're strategically placed on the bottom floor. Above them are the FA and above them the Premier League. That tells everybody exactly where the body that we're part of, that's where they sit, right at the bottom of the money pile. They have no choice but to accept decisions that are handed down to them. They're subservient, yeah? So when they get people like us kicking up a fuss, that's why they think they can then look down on us and tell us, keep quiet. We've done nothing but keep quiet. That's my honest opinion, yeah? It's not a case of, as I said to you earlier, Birmingham City is being run by its parent for non-footballing reasons. That is a case there in itself, yeah? As you've rightly pointed out, the problem we have also is that Blues fans want everything done for them. Okay? They want someone else to start it, and someone else to carry the flag, then they'll all get behind it. I'll tell you what, I'm one bloke, and I'm going to carry that fucking flag. Excuse my language, gents, but I've had enough. I really have. I'm going to carry that flag, and if anybody wants to get behind it, please do. It'll be organised and non-violent.
Have you got names now for this organisation at the bottom? Have you got any names?
Yeah, I've got a list of, I've got a full list of every shareholder at BIHL as of this morning, full list of Football League, key personnel, we've got all of that.
Just another couple of points, because we do need to bring it to a close now.
Just one other thing. We've got this meeting tonight, there's 100 people here. What we can't do is just go away and do our own little things. It's got to be kept in the forefront, and more people have got to get involved, and they're all joined behind us. But it's got to be kept in the open for everybody, publicity, everything.
Just got to keep it there, live and active. I agree totally. You can't just have this meeting tonight, walk away, and then we all ask each other what we're doing in 6 months' time. So I agree. Batteries not included.
So what's the strategy for doing that? What's the strategy for making sure that we actually keep the communication going between all the people that come here? Do we know the names of the people that are here? Do we know whether they're all members of the Blues Trust? Because these are, what you've got here is the people who are prepared to form an action group. And at the moment, I don't know anybody else here. That's the first time I've ever been to a meeting like this. But, at the moment, you've got a pool of people here who I think probably prepared to give up their own time and put in some effort to actually make what we've talked about this evening happen. I'm certainly there. I've had enough now, and I think that somehow, some way, this group of people need to somehow, even if they put a name on a paper and an email address before we leave,
Let's do that.
Let's absolutely do that. But the other thing, I did put a post on Daniel's website. I think the other thing is we need to find out. Have we got representatives of anyone other than Blues Trust here tonight in the Birmingham Mail? Have we got Megan Brun Have we got tired and weary? Who else have we got here? Because those are the groups of people that we need to pull on board in this. You know, I don't know all the others, but there are a couple of other blogs as well. Long Road. All of these people are well done.
Yeah, we have.
I mean, what about that post that guy Peter put on about PR? Did you see that? I mean, that to me was a good piece of work. All of this needs to be pulled together, and what we need to know, and I don't know who's going to do it and how we're going to do it, but we need to pull all of those people into a united group, because if we don't pull them into a united group, we're just going to act as a load of splinter groups. We can do this as the Blues Trust, which is what I'm a member of, but how are we going to get all of those other people engaged and facing the same direction and agreeing to what we believe just needs to be done?
Can I just say that we did all come together tonight as many organisations, but ultimately because we're Birmingham City supporters, we love our club and we want the best for it. In answer to that gentleman's question about who do we know that's here, there's a sign-up sheet here at the front. I'd like your name, email address, and whether or not you'd be willing for us to contact you after tonight. I'd just like to reiterate that we need to stop focusing on what's different about us, whether we belong to, you know, this organisation, that organisation, whether we sit here, whether we sit there. That actually, we're Birmingham City supporters, we've had enough, we want change, and that's the thing that should be focusing on. Not what divides us, but actually what unites us. And what's uniting us is that we have had enough. We pay good money to go down there every week. We are happy with the new management that's come in, but actually we don't want to be in this position again in 18 months' time, where, you know, we haven't got new players, we're right down in the bottom of, I don't know, League 2. So actually now it's about forgetting about all of that and concentrating on this. Sorry, that's just how I feel.
Anybody got one last point?
One more there.
Could we have a meeting in 6 weeks' time?
Yeah.
The points that we brought up
Yeah.
tonight.
An update. Yeah.
Can I just say I think 6 weeks is too long?
Let's do it in 4 weeks. We'll do it in 4 weeks. We'll do another session. Yeah.
Can you put that out on your website?
Yes.
And everything that's on it?
We'll be fully. We're going to do a release on the website. So Emma has been typing up what we're going to send out on the website. We've also, in terms of other people that are sponsoring it, as you know, Daniel is sponsoring what we do. So Daniel Ivory, Arthur Partisan. We're in constant conversations with Daniel, and he wants to know the outcome of this meeting also. There's a number of things we're working on with him. So we'll go for a meeting in 4 weeks. We will contact the individuals, and we will be putting posts on our website in terms of where we are with it. Okay. Thank you to everyone. Thank you for your contribution. Appreciate you giving up your time, and let's hope we can start to move positively forward on this. Okay.
Thanks. Can I just say, I'd like to say thank you. If you want to be reminded of what we've discussed, you can listen to it on the internet radio station, Sports Radio Birmingham, tomorrow. It will be on the station. So if you've got a TuneIn radio app on your phone, you can get it on there. If you've got other applications, you can get it on there. But it is an internet radio station, Sports Radio Birmingham. Thanks to the guys for supplying the PA and stuff tonight.
No problem.
Every road through life is a long, long road filled with joys and sorrows too. As we journey on, how your heart may yearn for the things most dear to you. With wealth and love to sow, but onward we must go. Keep right on to the end of the road. Keep right on to the end. If the way be long, let your heart be strong. Keep right on round the bend. If you're tired and weary, still journey on till you come to your happy abode, where all you love and you dream big stout heart to a long steep hill, we may get there with a smile. With a good kind thought and an end in view, we can cut short many a mile. So let courage every day be our guiding star always. Keep right on to the end of the road. Keep right on to the end. If the way be long, let your heart be strong. Keep right on round the bend. If you're tired and weary, still journey on till you come to your happy abode, where all you love and you're dreaming of will be there at the end of the road. Keep right on to the end of the road. Keep right on to the end. If the way be long, let your heart be strong. Keep right on round the bend. If you're tired and weary, still journey on till you come to your happy abode, where